Here are 10 Dynasty Fantasy Football sell candidates. I'll tell you my reasons why, and I will also tell you players I would rather have that you can involve in trades. Number 1 is James Cook, who is being valued as the running back 10 right now, which is too high for me. He was the running back 19 in fantasy points per game in 2023. He finished 8 weeks outside the top 24 running backs for fantasy football, 7 weeks with 15 or less touches, 6 weeks of 70 or less scrimmage yards. He was number 19 in targets, number 24 in total touchdowns in a premier offense. In Dynasty, I would rather roster Jackson Smith-Njigba, Mark Andrews, Saquon Barkley, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco, Deshaun Watson, Josh Jacobs, Javonte Williams, 2024 110 and 2024 111 picks, and this is in Dynasty Superflex leagues. Number 2 is Romeo Doubs, who looked very good in the NFL playoffs, but I have some concerns. 10.3 fantasy points per game in 2023, ranked 46th. He finished 41st in receptions and 46th in receiving yards. Some people still have faith in Christian Watson. You also have a group of young rookies who can progress into their sophomore season. Jaden Reed, who I think is the team's wide receiver 1, Luke Musgrave, Dontavian Wicks, Tucker Kraft. I would rather have in Dynasty Superflex leagues Daniel Jones, Deontay Johnson, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, Marquise Brown, Jake Ferguson, Michael Mayer, Calvin Ridley, Jahan Dotson, Luke Musgrave, the 2024 204, the 2024 205. Number 3, Courtland Sutton. Wide receiver 35 overall finish, was guided by 10 touchdowns scored. He had 18 red zone targets. But he did average 11.9 points per game, which ranked 38th. He was 41st in receptions and 37th in receiving yards for wide receivers. He's 28 years old. He has 1 of 6 seasons with 830-plus receiving yards, and we have QB uncertainty in Denver. Dynasty Superflex leagues, I'd rather roster Khalil Shakir, Marvin Mims, Michael Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Dalton Schultz, Quentin Johnston, Derek Carr, Wan'Dale Robinson, Mike Williams, Cade Otton, Jalen Hyatt, the 2024 211, the 2024 212. Number 4, Tony Pollard, who is being valued as the 107th overall player and the running back 20 on KeepTradeCut.com. Pollard in 2023 had 59 more rushing attempts than 2022, but finished with 2 less rushing yards. Pollard had 16 more passes caught in 2023 than he did in 2022, but he finished with 60 less receiving yards. Pollard totaled 75 more touches in 2023 than he did in 2022, but he scored 6 less touchdowns. He also regressed from 15.6 fantasy points per game in 2022 to 13.1 fantasy points per game in 2023 without Zeke. There's many injury claims, but I would say the same sort of thing if I was hitting free agency in 2024. I don't know if he's even going to be a starter anywhere next season. In Dynasty Superflex leagues, I would rather have George Kittle, DeAndre Swift, Amari Cooper, Ramondre Stevenson, Najee Harris, Keenan Allen, Kirk Cousins, Evan Ingram, Alvin Kamara, Christian Kirk, the 2024 203 and the 2024 204. Number 5 is Travis Kelce, who is being valued overall on KTC 88th, and he's a tight end 8 there. He's 34 years old. Through 15 games, Kelce finished with 121 targets, which was less than every year between 2017 and 2022. Kelce's 984 receiving yards was the lowest since 2015. Kelce's 5 receiving touchdowns was also the lowest since 2019. He did miss 2 games, but we are seeing some regression. We also have the rise of some young tight ends for fantasy football. Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid. We saw some upside out of guys like David Njoku this season. I just think now's the time. I would rather roster in Dynasty Superflex leagues George Pickens, Javonte Williams, Deshaun Watson, David Njoku, Mike Evans, Stephon Diggs, the 2024 112, if there's a contender that wants to pay that, the 2024 201, the 2024 202. Number 6 is Gabe Davis. In 2022, he had 92 targets, 48 receptions, 836 receiving yards, and 11.4 fantasy points per game. He regressed in 2023 to 81 targets, 45 receptions, 746 receiving yards, and 9.5 fantasy points per game with 2 more games played. Davis finished weeks 1 through 18 with under 6 fantasy points in 9 games, and he finished with 0 fantasy points in 5 of those games. Davis is going to be a free agent in 2024, but I have no idea how anybody expects him to be in a better situation on a different team after he was attached to Josh Allen with the Bills as the wide receiver too. In Dynasty Superflex Leagues, I'd rather roster Russell Wilson, Wan'Dale Robinson, Mike Williams, DeAndre Hopkins, Quentin Johnston, Treylon Burks, Rashid Shaheed, Cade Otton, Josh Palmer, Antonio Gibson, Elijah Moore, 2024-212, 2024-301. Number 7, Jaylen Warren. KTC values him at 119 overall. He finished 2023 running back 29 in points per game. Weeks 11 through 18, Warren averaged 13.5 touches per game, while Najee Harris averaged 18.75 touches per game after they had a new offensive coordinator. The quote-unquote, if he had more or if he was the starter narratives skewed by efficient change of pace running backs is overrated. Through weeks 11 through 18, as we mentioned before with the new offensive coordinator, 5 of those games, Warren was outside the top 24 running backs for fantasy football. He was efficient in the NFL playoffs, but Najee Harris still was the 1A. In Dynasty Superflex Leagues, I'd rather roster Jahan Dotson, Joe Mixon, Michael Mayer, Nick Chubb, Deontay Johnson, Evan Ingram, Calvin Ridley, Daniel Jones, Luke Musgrave, Marquise Brown, Aaron Jones, the 2024-205, the 2024-206. And here's a couple quick hitters. Ty Chandler, I would sell him. I would rather roster Josh Palmer, Antonio Gibson, Trey Palmer, J.K. Dobbins, Greg Dulcich, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Mitchell, the 2024-302, the 2024-303. I would sell backup tight end Isaiah Likely. I'd rather roster Derrick Henry, Jahan Dotson, Luke Musgrave, Aaron Jones, Marquise Brown, Joe Mixon, Pat Freiermuth, Cade Otton, Jerry Jeudy, the 2024-207, the 2024-208. And last, the 10th player on this list, Zamir White. A lot of people like him right now, and that's why I would sell him, because there's people that like him right now. I would rather roster James Conner, Jerry Jeudy, Austin Eckler, Michael Wilson, Khalil Shakir, Demario Douglas, Rashid Shaheed, Derrick Henry, the 2024-210, the 2024-211. I grind on this stuff literally every single day, so make sure you are following wherever you saw this.